Hi, my name is Alexander. In this video, we will deploy and host on GitHub our Angular portfolio website that we created in my previous video, Build Portfolio Website using Angular 19 and Tailwind CSS. The link to a source code of the portfolio website you can find in the video's description. There are several approaches how to host our website on a GitHub. We will use the simple approach where we will have to create a repository for our website on a GitHub. Compile our website project under the Visual Studio Code. Commit the compiled code to the GitHub repository. Note: our homepage HTML file must be called index.html, and it must exist in the top-level directory. On a GitHub repository, deploy the code to a GitHub pages. It will create URL for our website. Open URL and test our website. Let's start. To deploy our portfolio to a GitHub, we have to install Git for Windows and create an account in a GitHub. Install Git for Windows from this site. Click Download for Windows. Select 64-bit Git for Windows setup. Check Downloads. Execute this file. I will not do it because I have already installed Git for Windows. Check Git version in a command prompt. When I have installed Git for Windows, the latest version was 2.45.2. We have installed Git for Windows. Let's create an account in a GitHub. I have already my GitHub account. To create an account, go to github.com website. Click on Sign Up and follow the instruction to create account. Provide email, password, username. That's it. We have everything we need to host our website on GitHub. Sign into GitHub. Select your repository. Create a new repository in GitHub. Alexander Kosaruku portfolio. Leave it public. Create. Open our portfolio application in Visual Studio Code where we have to compile our application. Check that application works. Application works. Open Angular JSON file. When we compile the application's code, the output folder dist/our project name is created by default, dist Alexander Kosaruku portfolio. To output to a different folder, we have to change the output path in the Angular JSON file. Let's remove the project name and the output code will be located under the dist folder. Compile application. In Angular 17, 18, 19, the dist folder contains browser folder and may contain a server folder for the server-side rendering, which is not our case. The dist browser folder contains the compiled code of our Angular application in the format of JavaScript and also the required HTML, CSS files and assets folder. Asset folder contains our files and images directories, where we put resume file and images of the certificates. To host our application on GitHub, we have to deploy our compiled code to GitHub pages. What is important is that the GitHub pages will look for an index.html or index.md or readme.md file as the entry file for our site. If our publishing code is a branch and folder, the entry file must be at the top level of the source folder on the source branch. For example, if our publishing source is the Alexander Kosaruku portfolio folder on the main branch, our entry file must be located in the Alexander Kosaruku portfolio folder on a branch called main. It means that we have to deploy to our repository the content of dist browser directory, where we have index.html file, which will be used as the entry file for our website. In index.html file, change base href to the name of our GitHub repository. Open dist browser directory in the File Explorer. Open git bash. Right mouse click, show more options. Open git bash here. Copy the code provided by GitHub. Git add.command comprises of two parts. First part is git add, that is a command for adding files to the staging area. The staged files are ready to be committed. Second part tells which files to be added. In this case, dot is representing all modified and new untracked files in the current directory and all subdirectories, except for the files in the .gitignore file. Every time when we create a new Angular project, a .gitignore file is created automatically in the project root folder with useful default settings. .gitignore file tells Git which files and directories to ignore when we make a commit. Ignored files are usually platform-specific files or automatically created files from the build systems. Open .gitignore file. We see that Git will ignore this directory, temp directory, node module directory, log files, and so on. The .gitignore file applies only to the directory in which it is located and all its subdirectories. Our current directory dist-browse doesn't have .gitignore file, and therefore we can deploy the whole content of the directory. Commit the code. Git push. Check in GitHub. Check index.html file. Go to Settings, Pages. Select Main Branch and save. Go to Actions to show how the process is going on. Click on Pages Build and Deployment. The process finished successfully. Go to Settings, Pages. Here we see the URL of our website. Open URL in separate tab. Check application. Application works as expected. We successfully deployed our portfolio website to a GitHub page. That's all what I wanted to show you in this video. If you are enjoying this content and would like to see more and support my channel, please feel free to like this video and hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, have a good day, and bye.